go ahead and do the recording. So today is the second to the last class for 2023. We're going to dive into open houses because I feel like open houses are so timely. Ashley on Nate's team, she did an open house a couple weekends ago, had several people through, and got a lead for a $1.5 million listing. So pretty good day, right? Steve Cushing had shared with me last week that, he was gone for the whole summer. Only been back since the end of October, and he's already got several leads that he's picked up just from working open houses. So they do work. Before I jump in the materials, though, I just want to make sure that everybody has the right attitude that they work. Because if we hate open houses or we feel like they don't work, or we have some fear around strangers coming into a house, which is legit, right? I get it. Been plenty of times when the tiny hairs in the back of my neck have stood up and I go outside, right? But that's why we don't sit them alone. If you don't want to, you have a loan officer or you have another agent in the office sit with you. That way we're never alone, right? And then people know where you are. Be smart. So we're going to go walk through that. We don't have time to go through all the scripts and dialogues. I will tell you the scripts and dialogues that are in the materials, and then you guys can look at them and practice them after the fact. Okay, so that's just my first little thing is let's have the right attitude that open houses do work. And in fact, like I've been wanting to do some up here because I want to grow my business here. But yesterday I was like, you know what? There aren't any open houses to do up here. So you're just going to have to go to Phoenix and do them because this is, you're cutting off your business and you need to just go to Phoenix and do some open houses. So I am in good company with all of you that I as well need to do them. So you should have the class materials in your inbox. Okay. We got. Just checking that chat. Okay. So we want to teach you guys a proactive approach. So one of the keys to Ashley's open house that she did recently, and I think it's the same with Steve, is lots of signage. So obviously you got to watch your HOAs and your city ordinances, but she shared that she put 17 signs out. And I think, Kristen, I think you had a real good open house too, that you put a lot of signs out. So signage is important. We got to get people there, right? And a lot of other things that I'm going to go over with you guys that are tactical approaches that aren't necessarily in the materials, but things that we should be doing to ensure that if you're going to sit there for 3 hours, that you get people coming through. So we want to have an effective approach to establishing people with a relationship with new people, right? People who don't know you necessarily, that are coming through those open houses. Okay, so obviously today focus on open house, new people, new clients, and then there is a focus on buyers. However, you do get sellers that come through open houses too, nosy neighbors. You guys have heard me say this, statistically speaking, when a home goes on the market, within the next 90 days, 2 to 3 more homes might go on the market. So you could get those people coming through. I've got some people I coach that the first hour of the open house is just for the nosy neighbors, right? And so if we're door knocking and canvassing, we should expect that the neighbors will come through, right? And we want them to, even if they're not in a place to move, because we don't know, first of all, if they will. And secondly, they could refer you. All right, so those financial consequences. So think about, a couple of things before I move on from that. So offices have balloons, an inflatable Remax balloon that you can put in the front yard if you have power at your property, which hopefully you do. You just need to check those out, right? And then I can send you guys, if you want the surveillance, if I haven't already, we had Orlando create a sign for the door that has a surveillance camera on it. It says, something to the effect of, this is a privilege, not a right. You'll be asked to sign in. I will tell you the open houses that I've done and I've used that, I don't have any pushback from people. The other thing I would tell you to do too, and I haven't myself, I've just heard from all of you how great it is. And Kim, maybe you could chime in, is the open house thing through KV Core. So do you have any experience on that?
Yeah, it's good. It's super easy to use. You just pop in the MLS number and it autofills all the information. You select what you want them to register with. Like you can either do both email and phone number or just email. And then there's a smart plan. So when the app syncs, it doesn't automatically upload right away. You have to get connected to Wi-Fi again for it to sync into KV Core. But once it does, all those leads get a smart plan. And so then they're touched for a week or 2 or whatever the plan is. So it's totally, totally worth it.
Okay, awesome. Love that. Thank you. So check it out, you guys. Okay. So a couple other things you're going to want to have. So either a sign-in sheet, like where it's paper, or using KV Core, or if you have a tablet, sometimes it's easier to get people's accurate information if they can type it in versus writing it. You also have the VoicePad app. which is a really cool tool as well that you can give people. Rose in our office, she will literally walk up to people and say, how would you like to have a realtor in your pocket 24/7? And then she takes their phone. She doesn't just send them the app. She actually takes their phone and walks them through how to use the app. And she's found that that's more effective. And you guys, just like any good crime story, the more time that the cop or detective spends with the criminal, the more evidence he finds, right? And the more he can close the deal. Same thing here. More time you spend with that person in an open house, the more you're going to have, the better chance you're going to have at converting them. Okay. So we always want to have that, oh, by the way, Columbo thing. I'm dating myself, although I didn't really watch Columbo. But I know the line, right? The famous line he always said, oh, by the way, right? That was when he knew and he figured out the crime, right? So I want to constantly doing that. Not in the materials, but another thing that I think is highly effective and important that you do is preview the properties that are for sale around your open house. Know what's going on. At the very least, have an MLS sheet printout of all of the properties that are currently around it. Know the comps, right? Because and again, if you're in the open house, Lauren, and they want a 4-bedroom and it's only a 3, but you just were in the house 2 doors down or across the street, and it's a 4-bedroom, put a be right back sign, or you're not sitting it by yourself and other agents with you, go show the property across the street, right? Go ahead, Kim.
New builds too.
Yep,
Get
new
the spec
construction too.
sheet for your new builds if you're doing an open near a new build community.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. So having knowing that stuff. So having that. The other thing, just real quick before I go into the materials, is Facebook. And so I know Nate yesterday was kind of poo-pooing Facebook in our gas meeting, but I disagree with him because I've sold leads from Facebook. But do a post Thursday. Hey guys, I'm gonna be doing an open house on this property. Grab a money shot of the house. Then Friday, go live or post a video. Hey, I'm gonna be at this house on Saturday. Here's the time. Check out this great kitchen. I'm gonna put the address in the comments, and then do it again. Do another post when you're actually at the open house. Steve Cushing does a great job on his videos. If you haven't followed him and watched his videos, I would go check him out. Because a lot of us just want to overcomplicate it, and Steve just is stripped down. Steve, love it, right? And so just having those, that's a good way to let people know. And Kyle Clayton did it one time, and people were scrolling through Facebook on a Saturday morning and came to the open house because they saw the video on Facebook. And so those are effective ways for you to get more people to see you, right? So that's not in the class materials. Okay, so when we look at conversion, so if we do 2 open houses a week, right? When we do the math here, and if that was a total of 90 per year, if you had 5 people come through, which, open houses are a numbers game, you guys, you're going to sit some and you're going to get skunked. It's just going to happen. One little tip that always helped for me is if I would take a bunch of work with me that I wanted to get done. And inevitably, those would be the open houses I was always really busy at because I wanted to do the stuff. I'd have my note cards or whatever it was I was doing. And then I would always be busy. Okay. But we got to have the right attitude, right? And it only takes one. Lauren, who cares if only one person comes through, but you convert that person, it becomes a buyer. Who cares? That was a good day, right? It was a good day of prospecting. And so if we winnow this all the way down, right? We get down to 45 appointments. If only 50 of those people show up, which conversion rate should be higher than that, that's 23 new appointments per year. And if you're able to convert half of those, which I think most of us, once we're in front of people, we're pretty good, right? So that's a conservative number. That would be an additional 10 closings, and then an average right now of about $9,000. It's about 90,000 in GCI just from doing open houses. That for some of you is your goal, is your financial goal for the year, right? And so just being consistent with it. And frankly, if you have nothing going on, I wouldn't limit it to 2. I'd be doing an open house every weekend if I was new, right? And I needed the business. I would, because it is an effective way to prospect, right? So in picking the right property, vacant houses are easy to sit because you don't have to mess with anybody. The problem with vacant homes, there is a security with that. Plus, some people have issue trying to visualize what their furnishings would be like in an open house. This time of year, most people's homes are decorated beautiful. So, it's a nice time to do open houses in a property that shows well. You also want to consider your signage, because if we are putting a lot of signs out, how easy is it to get to that home? Right. And so the accessibility to that. And then, of course, you want to check your price point. Donna Cornell was cute a couple weeks ago in our gas meeting. She picked up an $800,000 buyer from an open house. So she's like, I'm not sitting $400,000 houses anymore. I'm going where the money's at. Right. And I'm going to go sit properties that are, bye, honey. So I'm going to go sit properties that are more expensive, right? Because those people, people who can afford more expensive homes aren't necessarily hung up about interest rates. And oftentimes those people have cash. right? So being strategic when you pick your properties, right? And seeing if that's going to be the right choice that's going to get you to where you want to go with your goals. Okay.
And can I interject? Don't be
Absolutely.
afraid to do them on Thursdays and Fridays or any other
Sure.
day of the week for that matter, especially when
Especially,
you're in 55 plus communities
yeah, I was
because
just going to
they
say
are
that.
out and about.
Yeah, your retirement communities that there is no limit on when they will be out and about. So yeah, and Fridays, Fridays are not a bad day. If it's a house near a school, doing it during school pickup time is not a bad choice either because it's a busy area, right? And depending, if we've got properties depending on the time of year, right? We're rolling into January, February, March is a super busy time in Phoenix, right? You've got the PGA, you've got the Arabian Horse Show, you've got the car show. Like there's a lot of things happening, and people come here and they get bewitched by the weather, especially if they're coming where it's cold and rainy and snowy, right? And they fall in love with the area. So don't be afraid to sit open houses that might be during those times. I had a coaching client that sat an open house on an Easter Sunday. And I told him, I said, "You're crazy. No one's going to come through your open house on Easter. It's a holiday, and it's a holy holiday on top of it." He goes, "You're wrong." He goes, "People have spent the whole weekend with their family. They are tired of them and they want to go get away from them." You guys, he had one of the best open houses ever on an Easter Sunday. And had he listened to me, that would not have happened, right? Another gal that I coached, she had a multi-million-dollar listing. She's in the Virginia market, and she was going to sit it open. It was like a 1 point, or no, 2.1, something like that. I was like, "Are you sure?" That I just feel like that's like people of that caliber, are they going to be going to an open house unrepresented? Not only did she double in her listing, she also got he had a house to sell. Okay. So we get out of our limited thinking, right? And go do things. And those are two great stories of people that are true. Those are true stories of people I coached. Okay. All right. So page 5. So Ashley and Lauren, I'll get you guys the materials when we get done. So we got to have a prospect. We got to have the property, right? So I don't like the words label the looker. I just don't like the word label, but we got to identify where the buyer is in the process, right? And so your dialogues that you're going to get a welcoming dialogue. So how do I greet them? That's probably the hardest part, right? But you guys, you got to get good at talking to a wall. You want to be successful in this industry. You got to be able to talk to someone in the bathroom and come out besties, right? And I know that some of us are like, "Oh my God, that's so uncomfortable," right? But you got to remember what your role is when you put your Remax name tag on and you go to work. Your role is to be their new best friend, right? Your identity when you're at home, you can be shy and introverted all you want, but if you want to be successful at this business, you've got to be good at talking to people. That's the biggest thing right there, is being able to chat a stranger up, right? So, and there's simple things like right now it's football season. So when you're doing an open house, have the Cardinals game on. Don't have the sound blaring, but have the Cardinals game on. It's a great starting point because everyone's going to say they stink, right? And then we can laugh and say, "Yeah, the cardiac Cardinals," right? Baseball season, the PGA, like any of those things that are relevant. The material is going to tell you not to have stuff on, but trust me, a guy who's a football fan who's being drug around on a Sunday afternoon to look at open houses will appreciate getting an update on the game. Right. And so plus it's a talking point, right? It's a talking point that I can break the ice. Okay. So someone said to me the other day that when they go to the grocery store, I don't know, maybe it was one of you, they look in people's carts and then they go, "Oh God, I've been meaning to try that. Is it good? Do you like it?" Way to break the ice. A little creepy to me. So especially depending on what it is that you don't be picking something embarrassing in their cart, right? But like that's a good way to start, right? Nate talked about like there's a funny Remax video on YouTube about the grocery store, but go to the grocery store. There's a guy Q in the Remax network. He was a $1 million GCI producer within like 2-3 years. One of his best ways he prospects is he goes and bags groceries. Bags groceries, name tag, all remaxed out, right? Goes and does that. So anyway, getting back to materials. So anyway, welcoming dialogue. So we got to be good at talking to a wall. Then we got to have a dialogue of where to establish, like, where are they at in the process. Then we have the follow-up, and then we have the justification dialogue, because people have been conditioned to, "Can't you just email me the information?" Well, email is the biggest way to reject you. And by the way, the least preferred form of communication when you look at the five ways to be communicated with. Number 1 is still a phone call, despite what we think with text and all that. Number 2 actually is Facebook Messenger, which is kind of curious to me. So making sure, number 1, still the phone. If you get a phone number, you guys, that is golden. That is golden. Call. Don't just text, call. Okay. Then what do I need to have? I got to have my list to follow up. I need signs. I need a sign-in sheet or use your KV Core. Home criteria is to make sure you know the property, know the taxes, know the school district, square footage, all of that. Again, preview around it. Have your clipboard because we want to engage them for feedback. And I can also send you that too if you guys want a feedback form. So the clipboard, if you hand them, have, buy 2, 3 of them as people are walking through, that's a way to close them, Kristen. Hey, do you mind as you look at the house to give, write down some feedback for my seller? Right. And that's a way to close them. It keeps them engaged longer. Right. And then anytime someone starts to physically interact with you, it gives you a better opportunity to convert. Okay. Have the tax printout and then pricing tools. Make sure you know the comps so that people don't come in and go, oh, this is overpriced. Right. And then you're throwing off your game. Right. Or the nosy neighbor comes through and says you're selling it too cheap. And then thank you notes for after the fact. If you get an address, thank you notes, great. If you get a phone number, send a video text. It was so nice to meet you yesterday, Lauren, at my open house at 123 Elm Street. Just wanted to, I'm sure you went to a lot of open houses yesterday, want to put a face with a name. Let me know when's a great time to follow up with you. All right. Competition isn't doing that. And people are going to watch that video overlooking a text or deleting an email. Okay. And in the materials, you do have some sample thank you notes, so you don't have to invent the wheel. Core beliefs. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this just because we have it in so many classes in momentum, and I want to get to the other stuff before I run out of time here. But core beliefs, we have to possess these core beliefs. And I think personally, I would probably print this page out, page 6 out of momentum, and have it at your prospecting station. Have it laminate it and hang it in your shower. I used to do that with my affirmations. If we don't have these core entrepreneur beliefs in our DNA, it's a struggle. Right. It's a struggle. And so some of you right now, you're new. So there's no growth without discomfort, right? This is uncomfortable. Personally, number 2 is an affirmation. That's just one of the things I say on a regular is that I live in a world of abundance. And the reason we want to do that is that we want to bring abundance to us. But you have an open house, so you get skunked. You have to live in a world of abundance and have that attitude, right? That everything's happening for you, not at you. Okay. Let's see. Number 7, success stems from duplicated processes. So with your open houses, you want to have a tote that has everything in it that you need. So every time, right, have your checklist so that every time you do an open house, you're firing off the same system, right? And as long as the system's working, if it needs to be tweaked, then obviously tweak it. If you have never sat an open house or it's been a minute, go shadow Rose, shadow Monique, shadow Steve, and shadow some of the people that are really crushing it with open houses. Okay. Number 12, cost is only the issue in the absence of value. This is really critical right now in our market with everything happening with NAR, with the lawsuits, right? And so we're going to have to get good at demonstrating our value and explaining to people why they want to work with us and why we should be compensated. Okay. I think we should be flooding the industry with testimonials right now from every single person that's ever worked with you and explaining the value of working with you, and not just you, but why a realtor. Okay. Next is the real estate sales beliefs. And so number 1, let's go do it, right? There's plenty of abundance out there for you. We know that 13% of the population will move regardless of interest rates. So are you doing enough, Kim, that people know you, right? And it's okay if being rich is what you want to do and that's why you're here, great, own it, right? Because it's different. Our zeros are different for each of us on this call, okay? Number 4, I will not convert 100% of leads I do not generate. And so to me, I don't want you getting out of bed every day and wondering who needs your services. We need to fill our pipeline. We need C leads, right? Because C leads, I know that in 6 months I need that C lead, right? But we also want to nurture those C leads because they get neglected, and C leads can become A leads, right? We can change them into A leads. Life happens, right? We can present situations where they become A leads. Okay. Next group in here, and again, I want you guys to read through all these, print them out. Buyer beliefs. And so I'm going to spend a minute here because we want to be doing buyer consultations, and that's part of the scripts when you guys get in here is converting them into doing an appointment. It is a real stickler for me when I hear agents talking about like, well, I was a Pop-Tart and I went and showed a house at 5 o'clock in Buckeye on a Friday. And then they find out the person didn't buy from them. My first question I will always ask is, did you do a buyer consultation with them? And 100% of the time I'm told no. How are you going to gain the loyalty and the commitment of a person actively looking for a home if you don't sit down and invest at least an hour of time letting them discover how you work, what's your unique approach, how you negotiate, going over the contract? Because people watch TV and that's what they assume buying real estate is, right? I hate those shows because they're far from anything of reality, right? Although, did you guys watch The Golden Bachelor? It was so horrible. That being said, I have the final episode teed up to watch. It's so terrible. Terrible, terrible. After I got to watch, I'm like, why am I watching this? It's the worst thing ever. Like, it's disgusting. But anyway, I digress. So having a consultation. So time reveals all. When Frank Russo was a baby agent, he spent 5 days with a buyer. And on the fifth day, the wife looks at the husband and says, "Do you think that we should tell Frank that we filed bankruptcy last week?" Time reveals all, right? 5 days invested, eager, happy, rookie agent. Had he done a buyer consultation and asked the right questions on the upfront, he would not have wasted 5 days with that person. All right. And be careful that you don't get in the mindset of, well, I have nothing else going on, so I might as well just do this. Well, because you're sending a very loud, very loud notice to everything else around you that you're making yourself unavailable for the person who might actually be ready to buy. Number two, motivated, qualified, and loyal people buy homes, right? We got to have all these. And the only way to establish that is by doing a buyer consultation, right? And by the way, there's presentations in KV Core that you can get. My consultation is really simple, you guys. I go over the purchase contracts. I go over all the addendums, the buyer advisory. I get all of those addendums and stuff like the agency, buyer advisory. I get all that stuff signed ahead of time, right? Because now they're signing stuff, so that elevates our commitment. Go over the contracts. And then what happens with that is it's easier. I'm giving the client permission to act. When I go over the contract with them, now I take that level of fear and uncertainty out of the way. So now when we go out, Jessica, we're actually looking at homes, I give them permission to act, right? And they understand, the contract's scary, right? They understand all the things. They know about the home inspection. They know about the earnest money. They know about the appraisal process, right? They've been educated. Do I go over it again with them when we write the offer? Absolutely, because they're not going to remember it. But it is a way to convert and to give them permission to act in the marketplace. Have you ever been to Dillard's and they walk up and say, "Are you finding everything?" Most of us go, "I'm good. I'm just looking." Right? Stop doing that, by the way. I have this wedding I'm in. I had to go get some stuff. I went to Dillard's, went to the lingerie counter, walked up with the dress. "I need help." And they were more than happy to help me, right? And what would have taken me 2 hours to find, they were able to help me. And I was in and out of there in 40 minutes. Right. And so stop doing that. By the way, your time is important. And the people that are asking you, can I help you find something? Like, say yes. Okay. So motivated, right? Someone who says, "I'm not in a hurry," but we find out that they're living with their in-laws, with their pets and their kids. I don't know about you, but that's pretty high level of motivation. They just might not have like a financial lease that they have to navigate, right? Are they qualified? Right? Are they qualified? Or do they have proof of funds? Someone who won't give you proof of funds or won't talk to a loan officer is a huge red flag. Okay. And then are they loyal? Are they committed to you? Okay. And then number three, having a process reduces the risk that comes with the buyer. Again, go back to the story of Frank. If he had asked the question in the beginning, so, right, and finding all of that out, he wouldn't have spent time. And so we want to think about our businesses, and this is where we don't get in hot water with NAR, right? And you guys, we got to be real careful right now, because if sellers, if when you take a sign call or a lead of any kind that's on your listing, the minute you start engaging that person and start giving information, you have what's called implied agency. And so you have to be really careful with that. And I know we just want to be helpful and, get the lead or help sell our property, but we got to be careful with that, right? So having a process reduces our risk management, right? Reduces our risk. Okay. And then if they won't meet me, they're not a buyer. True. However, there is also being a Pop-Tart. And I have been a Pop-Tart plenty of times in my real estate career and made lots of money from it. Now, that being said, you have to ask the right questions and ask the right things on the phone to qualify that person. They're not just going to try to kidnap you and chop you up, right? So you want to ask the right questions. And so, knowing, are you working with a realtor? And we're going to go over, there's some scripts in here that will help you identify that. Okay. And then only A buyers deserve my immediate time and attention. I have a caveat to this one too. So again, we live in a state where people buy second homes. I've had clients where I've worked with them for several years before they actually move, right? They maybe before they even retire here. So someone comes to town, Nate will tell you, he's got, and actually the guy ended up being one of his good friends. Guy was on his way to the airport to fly back to wherever he's from, called Nate, sign call, went and showed him the property, and he has become a tremendous, wonderful client over the years, plus one of his good friends. And so there's caveat to that, right? Is that, A buyers, yes, but sometimes we need to establish the relationship. So being a Pop-Tart to go do that with somebody who might be 2 years out is okay to do, as long as you ask the right questions. Check the chat here. Jessica, if we have time, I could try to show you that. It's under marketing in KV Core. It's under marketing.
I'm looking for it.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. Okay. So let's get into the actual like meat of this. How am I doing on time? Okay, I've got 30 minutes. Okay. So again, is the property priced according to your goals? Is it a property that's going to get good traffic, right? It seems like that 400 to 800 price point, you guys, is still kind of sluggish right now. So making sure it's in the right price point. Again, high traffic area, is it easy to get to? Can I put a lot of signs out? And then does it show well inside and out? And again, I'm not opposed to sitting a vacant property. A little bit more work, right? You got to take stuff with you, table, chair, all that, which you should probably have a table anyway, to have all your pretty stuff out that makes you look like a realtor. Preparation. So start advertising 3 days before. And you could even get a sign writer, right, to put on the sign that says open house this weekend. You get those at We Serve or Amazon. Door knocking, this says 50. It's 40 to 50. So 10 houses on either side, 20 across the street at a minimum. And there's a script for that. And then, of course, having your clipboards, having your open house registry, tax record, comps, everything that you need to know about that property. And because you're going to go on Friday and do a live, right, and a video, you're going to know what the house looks like. And so, and get there early. This says 20 minutes ahead of time. I have made beds and washed dishes. I've also had to rescue an animal that darted out the door when I got to the open house. So, you got to be prepared for those things, and getting there late or right at the time, it can make you a little bit scattered, right? So make sure you plan ahead, and that you get there a little bit early. Summertime sucks putting out signs, so you might even want to be able to change your clothes so that you're not sweaty and gross. Okay. Go in and turn on all the lights, open up the doors, the blinds, make it light and bright. Make sure that the temperature is comfortable. Flush the toilets, make sure toilet seats are down. And then, of course, having a nice smelling candle, something that isn't offensive to people, like a sugar cookie's good. I would stay away from like a patchouli or even a lavender, because people can have sensitivity to that. So something that's very neutral, that smells good. So a vanilla this time of year, could you do something that's kind of a Christmas scent? Maybe, as long as it doesn't have something like, I wouldn't do something with pine, because some people can be allergic to that. And of course, then having music, or as mentioned already, sports on, but being appropriate with that. Baroque style music or classic rock is okay. Baroque I like because it channels that other side of people's brains, and it just creates kind of that ambiance, right? And then having your thank you notes that to send out. And again, if you get a phone number, I would be texting a video to send out. Here is a little resource for you. Thank you, Kim. I haven't checked this guy's number in a minute, so if you could take a screenshot of it, I would hope he's still in business, but he will put out signs for you if you don't want to put out your own signs for $50. And in the summertime, it might be worth the $50 to pay him to do. If you've got kids, though, maybe incentivize your own children to help you out with that. So if you guys want this, grab the screenshot. I'll give you another second to grab that. All right. Okay, we're not going to role play. Let me just make sure there's nothing else in my. Okay, let me just advance this down here. Okay, so before I get there though, so on page 8, so here's your script. You have a script for door knocking, right? So and the key to this is like, as an extra service to the Smiths, I'm informing their closest neighbors in case you may know of someone who's interested in moving in the area. Okay, so that's an easy touch. You could also say, hey, I'm going to be putting some signs in front of your house. Are you okay with that? I mean, I've door knocked and said, I showed a house one time to an internet lead, and the neighbors were out. I was like, hey, can you just kind of keep an eye on me? Like, I'm showing a house to someone I've never met before. So people typically will engage you in that and be okay, right? Page 9. So here is the label the looker, which I don't like that word. I want to identify where they are. So asking them to sign in. And again, if you are asking for feedback, have them give them the clipboard. Don't play tour guide, right? Let them go look at the house. Make sure your sellers put away anything sensitive. You don't want jewelry, medication, money, things like that out and about. So make sure that there's nothing that people can easily take off of a counter. Have had it happen. So asking them to register, asking them to fill out that form for you. We want to answer all of their questions, right? So if this is a 3-bedroom home, are you looking for a 3-bedroom home? right? So ask questions, Kristen, that allow them to, again, be Columbo with you to help you discover more about that person. If you ask close-ended questions, conversation stops. Right. So tell me more about that. The word oh, tell me about the last home you owned. Are you looking for a 3 bedroom? Are you looking for the school district? So continue asking questions, right? So then we want to identify where they are in the buying process. So, and a lot of people might say, well, we're just driving around or we're in town to visit family. There's going to be a lot of that happening right now. Or they might say, oh, I'm just using Redfin or Zillow, right? Now that's your opportunity to help them, right? To say, let me give you a more effective way. Okay. And then we want to close, obviously, to take the next appropriate action. Page 10, providing relevant information. So again, here's after they've toured the home, what do you think of the home? How much are they asking? The price is 150. That's a funny example. Does that fit your price range? See how we're going with that? The school district is this. Is that the desirable district for you? The taxes are this. Is that within your budget? Right. So continue providing the information and being Columbo until you're able to spend enough time with them that we can convert them. So up on the screen is, so are you currently in the market for a new home? Right? That's the question. And then now, if you take anything away from this class, the script is, how are you going about finding your perfect home? Right? How are you going? So, and then the next part of the script is, how would you like to use a proactive process that will ensure you get the home you want and want the home you get? Love that script. And especially you guys, there, there was a recent article, and somebody maybe could find the source, but I don't know if it was NAR, probably was NAR, that people who bought during COVID, a significant amount of them don't like the house they're in, right? And oh well, I won't keep talking about the lawsuit because that's a whole other piece of it too, is that we're gonna get sued for selling them a house they didn't like. But anyway, I won't digress. But I love that, right? How would you like to get a process that ensures you get the home you want and want the home you get? Well, what does that mean, Roberta? If I'm a buyer, what does that mean? You mean I might buy a house I don't like? What? Right? And so now that's a way to soften that, bring them down and say, well, what does that mean? And so this flow chart helps you to outline, how do I get them converted? How do I get them to say yes to meeting me for a buyer consultation, right? And then continue. If they say they signed something, you could press further if you want to, right? If they say they have a realtor, oh great, who are you working with? Because if they're lying, they're going to trip up on that, because then they'll be like, I don't have a name, right? And so if they say they signed something, that's up to you if you want to stop the conversation. However, you could press a little further. I think as buyer brokers become more of a thing, that's going to be more of that conversation we need to have and find out exactly what they did sign. Okay. So we want to try to book the appointment, right? So they're ready. So they say yes to the process. So how would you like to use a proactive process? Okay, what would that entail? So it begins with us getting together for about an hour so I can uncover exactly what you need in your next home, define your financial comfort zone, and thoroughly discuss the roles and expectations we would have of each other in a successful working relationship. Couple things there. Financial comfort zone, you guys. That is an amazing way to say, what are you qualified for? Which, by the way, is bad these days. When I first started selling real estate, it was a joke to break the ice. Are you paying cash or will you need to be getting financing? Well, now that's the appropriate way to say it, because saying, are you pre-qualified, is offensive, right? It's offensive. And what's funny is there's a lot of people with cash. So it's not a joke anymore. A lot of times they say, Kim, yeah, I will be paying cash. Love that, right? So financial comfort zone. I love, love, love that. I think it's just such a professional way to say, what are you comfortable spending? Okay. And then the roles and expectations, we go over that in the buyer consultation class. So not everybody's going to be a yes that you want to work with. It is the most liberating thing when you're self-employed to fire someone. Say, no, I'm not working with you. You're crazy. Right? So we want to set those expectations so that they know they're not going to go to open houses without you. They're not going to go to new homes without you. They're not going to call for sale by owners without you, right? We have to establish the rules of engagement and make sure we can work together. I think we get so desperate that we just want to work with everybody, right? And sometimes that's not good. From a risk management perspective, sometimes there's people we should fire so we don't get sued later, right? And then we want to call to confirm the appointment. That's one thing that we just don't do in our industry, and I think we should, because it's a professional thing to do. I mean, heck, I get a text from the nail salon saying, hey, confirming your appointment. So call to confirm. If it's someone that you met at the open house and maybe you've only engaged with them one time, again, send that video text so they can see your face and they know when you walk in with who they're dealing with. Okay. Okay, so 13. don't think there's any of those. So we may have to justify. Again, can't you just email me? Don't you see a benefit of us getting together? Well, other agents haven't made me do this. And then that's because I'm a real estate consultant and I'm extremely serious about what I do. I don't do this part-time. I run a business and I'm not just in the business of showing houses. I'm in the business of satisfying needs, which I would change. I don't like that. I'm in the business of helping people find real estate, right? I don't like satisfying needs. I have a process that I use with all my clients. So therefore, before I start emailing you information, we need to define your perfect home and make sure homes that fall well within your financial comfort zone, and then discuss the roles and expectations of a successful working relationship. And then I believe that this is the best approach when investing a large sum of money is to be intentional and be a proactive team. Wouldn't you agree? And now we can close. Super important, you guys, that line, intentional, right? We intend to go out in the marketplace, Kristen, and find you a home that you want to buy, right? And then a proactive team. This isn't just about me being tour guide Barbie, right? There are things that you need to do as well in the relationship. Okay. All right. If we were in person, we'd be role playing, but we're not. Although I could put you guys in breakouts, but we won't today. Maybe next time. So page 14, so a more direct approach. So here's some a little bit more advanced dialogue. And so these can be used as stacking, or you can just say them and then wait for the answer. They might rub some of you the wrong way as being too direct. So in regards to your next home, is it important you make an informed, intelligent decision? Depending on how you say it, who you're dealing with. If this is a D personality, they probably would respect that, right? Is it important that you take a proactive approach rather than a reactive one? Is it important that you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? Is it important that you make a logical decision rather than one based entirely on emotion? Hey, stop it. And so buying a home can be, sorry, my cats are about to have a fight right there. Buying a home can be emotional for people, right? It most likely it is, right? It's emotional. This is where you're going to put your Christmas tree and raise your children. It's emotional. And it's also a large investment that people get scared, right? So when people are not logical, we need to be logical. And that's where having scripts and dialogues and, being able to ask the right questions to help be that Columbo, right? I got to extract information from you. Okay. And I love the part on the slide here is we have choices. We talked about that, and Roberta talked about it in vision boards last week. We have choices, right? Of how we spend our money, how we spend our time, how we plan, right? We have choices to show up here. We have choices to do open houses or not do open houses, right? And then that leads to action, and action is what creates our habits that later forms our character, and that creates our destiny. And then what is our legacy? What are we leaving behind? When it's our time. Oh, I saw this thing the other day on Facebook, and it's not a good quality, so I want to fix it. But it said, if I were to die today, would you be happy with our last conversation? Right? Right, Kim? It kind of hit me. I was like, oof, oof, you know? And so yeah, would you be happy with our last conversation? And maybe not me, because maybe you don't talk to me on a regular basis, but think about the people in your life, right? What's your legacy? What are you leaving behind? Because I guarantee you it's not about how many open houses you do, right? That's what we're focused on here, to help you get to your legacy. But at the end of the day, that's not what you're here for. So defining that for yourself, right? And then are you doing pep or no? Are you doing the right activities, right? So it comes back to our choices. Everything's comes back to choices, right? Come here. Oh my goodness, you're being such a bad kitty lately. Okay, go. Sorry. I don't know why she's being so needy as of late, but she just wants to be all over me. Okay. All right. So I think I am. Is there one more slide I want you guys to see? No, I think that's it. Okay. I don't need to share this anymore. All right. So next page 15. So are you working with an agent? There's a script for that. So label the looker as to where they are with that. Again, you have a choice. You can go further with it. I always want to ask, who is your realtor? Oh, who are you working with? And then even if I don't know them, oh, that's a great choice, right? Or if I do know them, then I'm really going to back off, right? But a lot of times people will just say that same thing, like when you go to Dillard's, no thanks, I'm just looking. It's kind of the same thing when we go to open houses. So there's a script for that. And then page 16, no, I'm not in the market for a new home. What brings you around? So, and then I'm just looking, or I'm the nosy neighbor, wanted to see, I saw they renovated. I wanted to see what they did. That's okay, right? Can I still get your information and put you in my database? And then would you refer me business? Do you know anybody else who's thinking of moving? Right. And so it's okay if they are the nosy neighbor. And like I said, some people like to have that open house before the hour before for the nosy neighbors. Again, here's another, they're not ready to buy, page 17. We're currently not in the market, or I don't think we're ready to buy. And you got to go further with that one, Lauren, because someone says, I don't think we're ready to buy. There was a great story of a lead that came through an open house, and the people owned a house in California. And so they had been renting here in Arizona, but they had been told that because they already owned a house, they couldn't buy another house, which was bad intel, right? Because if the house is rented, you can qualify, right? There's some things you got to do, but you could qualify. So when they said, we don't think we can, the agent was able, oh, tell me more about that. And now we were able to educate that person, right? And help them navigate that differently. Okay. So we want to go deeper with it. When someone says, I'm not looking right now, I don't think we're ready to buy, tell me more about that. Right. And that's where the word "oh" comes in all the time, you guys. Right. And then now we can help educate them about where they are in the process. Okay. So there's that script. Page 18 is your follow-up dialogue. So this could be on Monday. If it's an open house on Saturday, I would do it on Sunday, or Monday at the latest, right? If you start getting into Tuesday, Wednesday, it's too late in the week, right? They're going to forget about you. Okay. Because if they're out and about and 60% of people who go to open houses buy homes, you're not the open house. You're not the only open house they're probably stopping at. Right. And so again, I would take page 18. Hi, this is Sarah with Remax Professionals. Did I catch, just if this is on the phone, did I catch you at a good time? First, let me say I really enjoyed meeting you at the open house on Saturday or Sunday or Friday. Did you have any further questions about the home? Did you see any other homes over the weekend you would like more information about? Did you have an opportunity to complete the criteria sheet? So I missed that in the class, in the slide, you guys. Criteria sheet. So having a criteria sheet, which you have one in your yes, on page 23 in the materials, there's an example. So think about that. If you're trying to convert someone and you give them a criteria sheet, especially first time home buyers or even move up buyers can be hard because they don't, they have something in their head, right? But a first time home buyer, if there's two people involved in making a decision, you give them a criteria sheet, that's another way to convert, right? And your competition isn't doing that. So did you have a chance to fill that out? Did it help? As I recall, you said you were about 2 months away from buying. Is that still accurate? So you could take this script and modify it and do it on video. All right, do it on video and then say, close your video with, let me know what's a good time to reach out to you and I'll give you a call and we can set up a time to meet. Okay. And don't be afraid to jump on Zoom too. I did buyer consultations on Zoom. It was wildly convenient. And I have the gal I coach in Houston that does the YouTube videos. That's how, because people are relocating, they're using Zoom like crazy to set buyer consultations. And if they're relocating in, get good with like Google Earth. There was one of the guys in the Workman organization, they were using Google Earth to like take people on tours of areas if they were relocating in. So kind of a cool extra tool that you guys can use. And Google Earth is free to download. You just got to download the app and have it on your computer. I've geeked out on Google Earth a few times and it's pretty neat. And it's just getting better and better, right? With the quality of the photos that Google's taking. Do you guys ever geek out when you see the Google car in traffic? We're like, oh my God, there's the Google car. Do you know what it looks like? Has anybody ever seen one? It's got the thing on the roof. Yep, exactly. So, and then so next script is once the time frame has been established. This is when you're going to go in for the close. Okay. And then lastly, open house tools. So starting on page 28 or 19 and 20. So sample registry for you guys, really basic. I would highly encourage you to use KB Core instead of paper. But if paper's your jam, that's okay too. So you've got an example there. And then you have the open house follow-up on page 21. This is basically your kind of like tickler to remind you what you're going to do and when you're going to stay in touch with them. You need to put this information in your KB Core, right? Let's not have it on paper. I mean, I guess you could, as long as you're staying good with following up on it, but a spreadsheet or KB Core or something, or a Google Doc. And then you got to remind yourself to follow up with those leads. It doesn't do you any good to put on an awesome open house and get these leads and then not follow up with them, right? And then you have the follow-up notes on page 22. And as mentioned, page 23 is the criteria sheet that you guys could just print out. If you want to brand it up to yourself, great, you could, but you could literally just print this out right now and have a criteria sheet that you hand out to people. I would probably brand it just so that they know it's coming from you. So it shouldn't take you, I mean, you'll probably have to reset it because I don't think you can copy the PDF, but not that big of a deal to do. So you guys have that tool there. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Anybody doing something with their open houses that maybe I didn't touch on that you feel like is unique and would like to share?
I'm in a
Kristen?
talkative mood this morning.
You
I
are.
have a story to share that I heard in a ABR class that changed the way I end my open houses. So I don't know where this was in the country, but it was a basement home.
Okay.
So it was the end of the open house, and the agent, who was a woman, was by herself, and a man came in right at the end. And he wanted to have her show him the basement. And so she said, no, go ahead and go down by yourself. So he did. And he gets down there and he says, no, no, you need to come down here and you need to come see this. And she says, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. No, really. Second time, no, really, you need to come down here. And she says, no, it's okay. It's okay. So third time, he does it again. And now she starts to hear the footsteps coming back up the stairs. And so she starts heading for the front door. And so by the fourth time he says, you need to come see this, she's halfway out the front door and he grabs her. And luckily, there were neighbors out on the street that saw this go down. And so the husbands attacked the man, and the women called the police. And the men were able to pin him down and catch this guy. So, but the message was, don't stay open late because that's when all the creepers come. Because I always had a habit of, like, I'm going to leave my open house open while I'm packing up my gear and shutting off lights in case somebody comes, right? I'm like, I don't want to miss an opportunity. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm at least locking the door, pulling the sign in the driveway into the car so that nobody knows I'm there, essentially. So
Mhm.
it was a good reminder that you just never know when somebody scary is going to come into your open house, and ways to protect yourself.
So yeah, and poor Lauren's eyes are like, what industry did I get myself into? So carry mace, right? Go get some mace. You can get on Amazon, carry mace, right? Be smart about things. People should know where you are. Whenever I leave to come to Phoenix, somebody gets a text message that says, I'm leaving for Phoenix. I should be there by this time, right? If you don't hear from me, something's wrong, right? Because I'm super anal about that, right? That's why we also don't sit them alone, right? Model Mortgage will sit with you guys every weekend, right? They will, and then sit with each other, right? Look around and sit together, right? There's power in those numbers of, being safe there, and just round robin the leads, right? Lead comes in, it goes to you, Lauren. Next one goes to Jessica, right? So round robin that. So we should not be sitting alone. And plus, having a loan officer there is just good because they can help convert people, right? And help talk lending stuff there while you're there. Okay. I have taken my brother with me and just had him sit with me at open houses. So I've also taken my brother when I've met someone for the first time that I felt just a little uneasy, right? And so don't be afraid to ask for people to go with you and help you. Oh, what is going on with my animals this morning? They are all like zooming around right now. So they're all full of it. So yeah, good reminder, Kim. It's just the anniversary in September of Beverly Carter. I think it's been 10 years. And Beverly did something that all of us have, well, not all of us, but a lot of us have done. She met a lead at a house at dusk and they kidnapped her and killed her. And so it was something we've all done, right? And so we have to be smart about that. Kristen, you got any tips from your open houses that you've been doing?
Um, no tips necessarily. I'm just, I just always have people sign in. I do have people that will, especially I find in like Sun City where older people do not want to sign in. And I'll just say, I just need you to sign in. You don't have to fill everything out, but please sign your name and at least give me your phone number, email address. I don't know. I've had good luck with some open houses. I've got some good leads with open houses. I do a video once I get there to show myself there, and also John is usually with me from Motto.
Okay.
So I introduce both of us when we go online, but I don't know about necessarily any new tips other than what you've given us so far.
Okay. Yeah, consistency too, right? That's part of it because we know open houses are a numbers game and you have to be consistent with it. So again, if I'm new, why not sit an open house every weekend? And if you're, I know like Lauren and Ashley, you guys are on teams, so you have Thanks listings you guys can sit, but everybody else, go into MLS on Monday and look at the new activity. In fact, I would set yourself up on a search so that every time our company takes a new listing, you get an alert. And that way you can stay abreast of our inventory and what's going on. And then that way, Monday, you start looking, okay, who's got a listing I can sit? Don't be passive aggressive and just send an email out and saying, hey, I'm new, or hey, I'm available and I'll do an open house. That's fine to do, but it's passive. So you need to pick up the phone. Big listing agents are busy. So pick up the phone and say, hey, Jim Cutner, you've got this great listing. Can I sit it open? Right. Or Rose or Roberta or whoever, right? Call them and ask them if it's okay if you sit the property open. And then start your marketing then, right? Start doing the stuff you need to do to have a good open house. Back in the day, I used to just pick a house, go throw some signs up, and it was effective. Well, that's not effective anymore. We got to do more than that. We have to have a system, and you have to follow the process and fire it off the same way and duplicate it, right? So that you have good results. And again, I would encourage you to go shadow some of those agents who are doing a good job and copy them, see what they're doing and copy them. Okay. All right, so I owe Ashley, Lauren, and Roberta the materials. I will include a feedback form and the surveillance camera graphic for you guys. That's all I have. Thursday is the office meeting. I won't be there because I'll be coming back from Vegas, but Nate is doing his annual forecast and review, so it's going to be a really, really good class to go to, the office meeting. And then next Tuesday, we're going to be doing expired boot camp. December is the largest expired month of the year. So that'll be the last class that we will have on momentum. And of course, we got some other holiday things happening. And at the VIG on the 14th is our Christmas party. So hopefully all of you will go. We went to the VIG for our anniversary. It was a pretty cool place. So it's a pretty cool place. So definitely, get dressed up and bring your significant others and let's have some fun. So that's all I got for you guys. Yeah.
Isn't Motto's happy hour Thursday night too this week?
Yes, it is. The ugly sweater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ugly sweater. And then I think is it next Tuesday is the potluck at Arrowhead North. I think one of them. It's all on Facebook or on the Google Calendar. So
that's on Wednesday the 13th.
13th. Okay, perfect. There you go. Thanks, Roberta, for knowing the schedule better than me. So, all right, you guys, I'm off to Vegas. If you need anything, reach out, call, text. I'm always here for you as a resource. Otherwise, I will see you next Tuesday. Okay.
Have fun.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.